Ryan Clark yesterday was talking about whether it would be the right or wrong decision for the Steelers to approach Atlanta about Kirk Cousins. Here's what he said.
I could say it would be the wrong decision for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You put yourself in this position to wait on Aaron Rodgers. And to me, now it's Aaron Rodgers or bust. If you don't have him, you play this season and you do everything you can in next year's draft to get your franchise guy.
So I find this one interesting. Again, Graz and Lewis are with us here. Dan, I will say yesterday a note was sent into our group chat that Kirk Cousins was not present at the workouts, the voluntary workouts of the Atlanta Falcons. And I immediately said that feels like it's important to me. If Cousins is going to get traded, at least part of it might be because he forces the issue. And so I will find that very much worth watching. Talk us through the Kirk Cousins of it all, Dan.
Look, if Kirk Cousins could force the issue, he would have. He was hoping to get released so he could sign with another team in free agency. Atlanta did not do that. And he's hoping to get traded to a team where he might have a chance to start, because right now in Atlanta, he's set to be the backup to Michael Penix Jr. But Atlanta understands that it has a valuable asset, a real starting quarterback in the NFL. They've also sunk a lot of money into Kirk Cousins. They didn't want to just cut him and have paid him $90 million for one season or part of one season. So at this point, to get Kirk Cousins, you're going to have to trade for him. You're going to have to give Atlanta something, and you're going to have to take on some of the remaining $37.5 million in guaranteed money that is left on his contract. So there's a narrow list of teams. It's not nearly the list of teams that Giannis and Kevin Durant might end up on. It's a very narrow list of teams. And I think if you're the Falcons, you are hoping that someone's circumstances change in the next couple of months and makes them more willing to give you what you want.
Is Kirk Cousins at this point in his career still a viable option to be a contending team starting quarterback, Louis Riddick?
Yeah, I believe he is. It has to be a very specific philosophical approach. It has to be something similar to what Pittsburgh ran, or what they want to run ideally under Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator. Heavy run, play action. I mean, that's been Kirk's bread and butter. You go back to, like I said before in the first hour, 2018 until now, Kirk is top half of the league in QBR and play action. He was top 3 in the league as far as completion percentage over expected. So he's made some difficult throws under some difficult type of situations and big game type of situations, albeit in the regular season. He's coming off of last year, a very subpar year by his standards. He wasn't healthy. He wasn't under center as much as he was because of the Achilles, because he couldn't get back away from center and get set up the way he was used to, because he couldn't move in the pocket like he used to. So that's funny. It sounds like all the same things that Aaron Rodgers was dealing with his Achilles injury, but all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers is just, he's the cure-all for everything in Pittsburgh. Kirk isn't a throwaway. Graz laid out a lot of different things as far as the impediments to kind of getting him on your team. But when you say Pittsburgh should do everything to get in position to draft a quarterback, like what? They should just suck? They should throw the season away to make sure? I mean, that doesn't sound like a Pittsburgh type thing. They're in a tough spot.
They've never done it. That's the one thing they've literally never done. And then I want to play one more sound off. This one doesn't really require any response or commentary. But Terry Bradshaw did a radio show, the legendary Steeler quarterback. He was asked about the prospects of the Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers, and boy, he did not hold back.
That's a joke. That is just, to me, is a joke. What are you going to bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? That guy needs to stay in California.
Thank you.
And chew on bark
And risking the guys out there, you get this presence and you feel like it's going to start snowing. So,
chew on bark? I mean, I'm just Dan, is that one you're familiar with?
It's not, but Terry and I are not from the same part of the world, so maybe that's an expression where he comes from. But it's quite a statement. I got to say this. Look, the Steelers are not putting all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket. They're handling this the right way. They've said, yeah, great. If you want to come, great. If not, we have other options. So they're not, all out desperate for him the way that it's been portrayed a few places, I think.
Perhaps that's not the way they look at it. We'll see if it turns out that way. If you're a sports fan, all right, we are back on Get Up, and we're going to do a quick edition of Sound Off here. Just interesting people saying interesting things. You just have to hear this. This was Terry Bradshaw talking about Aaron Rodgers potentially joining Terry's old team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just listen.
That's a joke. He shouldn't. That is just to me is a joke. What are you going to bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? That guy needs to stay in California.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
chew on bark and risk it to the gods out there. You get this presence and you feel like it's going to start snowing. So,
I don't. Does anyone have a reaction to that? Sometimes things can be presented without comment.
Chew
Dan?
on bark?
Chew on bark.
Chew on bark is an interesting burn. I never heard that one before, but it's nice to hear.
I've never heard when you get in someone's. I never heard when you get in someone's presence, you feel like it's going to start snowing either. I know. I don't like the cold no more than anybody, but I've never said that before.
It's just a very strange combination of things for Terry to say. We thought it was interesting. We thought we'd play it for you, and then we'd move on to a game called Is That Ridiculous with Louis Riddick. And this one I think is really interesting. Yesterday, Kirk Cousins was not present at the Falcons' OTAs. I found that significant. Is it ridiculous to say he will be on a different team by the time we get to week 1?
No, I don't think that's ridiculous at all, Greeny. And I think the speculation is going to heat up. I think this is obviously what Atlanta's front office is kind of banking on, that as we move through the offseason, in the training camp, there's always going to be movement at the quarterback position. There's always going to be a team that figures, hey, look, we can level up with one of these veteran acquisitions somewhere, somehow, and maybe Kirk is that guy. And look, the speculation connecting him to Pittsburgh, I understand it, I get it. What does Arthur Smith run in play action pass? From 2018 to 2024, Kirk's time in Minnesota, his first year in Atlanta. The guy was top half of the league in terms of QBR on play action. He was number 3 in that time in CPOE, completion percentage over expected. He still has some time left in him. I think that offense would fit him, quite honestly. Let's just see where this all plays out, but I can definitely see that happening.
Graz, walk us through how that would happen if it were to happen.
Would have to be a trade. Atlanta has made it clear that they're not going to cut Kirk Cousins. He would like to be on another team. He has a no-trade clause, so he has some say over where he goes. But the key thing, Greeny, is $37.5 million in guaranteed money. 27.5 this year, 10 next year. Is an acquiring team going to pick up enough of that money to make Atlanta happy enough to do a trade? Otherwise, they have said and they have acted like they're comfortable having him as Michael Penix's backup this year.
I will see if he's able, or willing, I should say, to push the issue. Let me go to the next one, Louis. If I were to say, and perhaps I would say it hopefully, Justin Fields is going to have a career year in 2025. Is that ridiculous?
Not ridiculous at all. Again, Greeny, look, this offensive line in New York, which is where it all starts for these young quarterbacks. They got 3 first-round picks and a number 2 pick. A second-round pick on this offensive line. They've got to be better. They've got to establish the run, especially with the running backs that they have as well. And look, Tanner Engstrand, the new offensive coordinator, and we said it before, it's staring